Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope you guys are having a great day. Let's talk about what we got going on in the market, exciting things ahead, and especially with today, we had a bit of a roller coaster that was occurring because kind of mid-morning, we saw these stocks, the global indexes, big indexes, starting to have a little bit of a pullback here. We have the PCE index that was also released, giving us some key data on the inflationary environment for the month of April. And all of a sudden you have this afternoon rally that actually closes the indexes at a high point, closing in the green. We're going to be talking about PLTR, NVIDIA, looking into the AI industry, specifically talking about the stock split. We also have June 7th, which is a very, very important date because that is going to be the next S&P 500 quarterly announcement date that could possibly have PLTR included. And we're going to be talking about what this could mean for the stock. Now, of course, this is not a guarantee. This is all theory and hypothesis regarding S&P 500 inclusion and could really only benefit PLTR in my opinion. So we have a lot to get into this video. If you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now let's get into the video. Pop it up on the screen here. What you see with Palantir Technologies, basically consolidating on the day, down slightly, about 0.2% in the trading day. Holding here on the intraday high, we get about this area that you're seeing here, about that 22. You see some resistance around this level, closing right here at that 2168, volume coming here at 44 million. Now, like I said, one of the big things that we do need to talk about was the actual PCE inflationary data that we had, because this has a big influence and is a large variable on the market right now on where we sit in terms of the probability of those interest rate cuts. And the reason I say that is because recently, a few months ago, we were pricing in the market. That's what I mean by we're pricing in a 70% chance that we were going to see the first inflation and the actual interest rate cut at September. Recently, that has came down to 50%. And that is why this is really critical right now, because the personal consumption expenditures price index rose 2.7% in April from a year over ago. And what this really comes in, basically, long story short, is in line with these expectations that Wall Street is predicting. Core index right here rose 2.8%, which is just a bit higher. So basically, it came in line with what the analysts were predicting, which was good. This doesn't show us that inflation is growing at a higher rate than we were expecting, which is good in terms of the probability of that first interest rate cut. So what we do have in terms of the market reaction is that the S&P 500 logs the best May since 2003, doing very well here in terms of May performance and specifically looking at that data. So let's take that into consideration that we have bullish momentum coming into the general market right now, especially with that PCE index data. I said that was going to be incredibly important, and where Palantir sits at right now at 2168. A critical support level that PLTR has held for a good amount of time is at that $20. And we've seen this. We've seen some important reversals. You can see here just in the short-term trading history being triggered right there at that $20. Now, remember, before the first quarter earnings of PLTR, after we had that guidance that was just slightly adjusted, we saw this correction bringing PLTR down to the price targets where it was, or where it is now. PLTR was sitting at about $25. And what this means is going into the hype, and even with the recent contract that PLTR has established with the Army worth $480 million, getting over $100 million up front in terms of its actual partnership and collaboration with the Maven project right here. It's really wrapping up May with a very successful month. And especially going into here, the talk of the town is, what are the chances that PLTR will be included in the S&P 500 that is set to rebalance on June 21st. Now, the announcement date for the board review on when this occurs is June 7th. That is literally a week from now. So what we're going to see is more people talking about this. We have to keep that in mind. PLTR easily now meets the criteria to get fit into the S&P 500. You need 4 quarters of GAAP profitability. PLTR is sitting at 6 right now. We've talked a lot. If you didn't see yesterday's video, look at that because we talked a lot about the criteria of the S&P 500. Now the question is, buying the dip on PLTR right now before we see this AI-driven comeback, is this a golden opportunity? Because PLTR right now sits, like I said, at the low 20s, kind of at the support level. You've seen the $480 million AI contract that was established. You also had another one, and in the big picture here for PLTR, a clear path is emerging that is really starting to mature and grow into its valuation. Now, of course, one of the big criticisms is the guidance, and specifically what we see is the valuation with PLTR. It does trade at a premium, at a high price, but look at all the other AI stocks that are out there right now. We are in an AI boom, and we see this reflected in the market. We've seen this through 2023, and we've seen this through 2024. So where PLTR sits right now in terms of the opportunity here and a buyback on weakness, we just had a decent correction, and we see this consolidation. We have some great news. The PCE index data is looking healthy in terms of inflation, keeping us basically kind of optimistic about the first interest rate cuts, and the probability of a PLTR comeback right here, I think, is right at the tip of the iceberg. In my opinion, the reason why I say that too specifically here is because with GAAP profitability for the 6th consecutive quarter, PLTR is continuing to have these record earnings results. And I think we did see an overselling and kind of over dramatization of the selling after that first quarter in terms of the fact when they did change their guidance a little bit here. Talking about the guidance and how they just changed that over the year. And I think what's more important here is that PLTR is being honest and in being truthful and what they're expecting in terms of over the course of the year. So that's where I sit right now. I think we're going to see a run up here in the short term, and especially if we see PLTR that does get a possible announcement on June 7th for the S&P 500 inclusion. Typically, historically, what we've seen across with these stocks is about a 5 to 7% rise in market value and valuation of market cap, just due to the indexes and all of the funds that are tracking the indexes, just kind of the general buying pressure into now purchasing PLTR, just getting involved, getting a piece of the pie because they're included in the S&P 500. That's what we've seen historically. Now, talking about NVIDIA here, I wanted to mention people talking about what is the significance of the NVIDIA stock split. I've been seeing this in the comments. I've been seeing this in questions. Talking about the NVIDIA stock split, first of all, is going to occur on the close of the trading day of June 7th. And that first trading of when it's actually going to be on a split basis is going to begin on June 10th. Now, the company also announced that it raised its dividends here, a 1 cent per dividend based on the post-stock split holdings. So 1 cent is going to be paid out per share that you own of NVIDIA. It's a 10-for-1 stock split. So if you had 1 share of NVIDIA, now you have 10 shares of NVIDIA. And people saying, well, with current kind of trading platforms, you can just buy fractional shares. So the big question is, what does this even matter? Well, first things first is just in terms of share price and psychology is it's going to look more affordable. You have it that's going to be trading at 10% of the price that it was previously traded at. So just in terms of owning actual physical incremental shares, 1, 2, 3, 4, not just fractional shares, this just generally looks more attractive and it looks more affordable in the fact that potential investors that want to get a piece of the pie of NVIDIA, they now can own whole shares. And number 2 is the options, ladies and gentlemen. Options now can become much more affordable. And the fact that most, these options have the ability to control 100 shares if you are buying either calls or puts, now you have that at 1/10 of the price. So options activity can really pick up for NVIDIA. That's really where I sit right now. What do you guys think in terms of my prediction for PLTR in the short-term run-up here? And especially, what's your prediction with June 7th? Do you think that PLTR will be included in this S&P 500 announcement set to rebalance on June 21st, announcement on the 7th? I want to know what you guys think. Peace out. Take care. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Make sure you take some time to cool off and enjoy the world out there, not get too involved just into the stock market. Peace out. Take care, and I'll catch you guys later.